This video will show you how to replace the rear wheel cylinder on a Toyota Matrix. This will be located behind your rear wheels. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. The first thing we have to do is safely raise and support the rear of the vehicle so the wheel's off the ground. Once you've completed that, you're going to remove all 5 of your 21mm lug nuts and we can get the wheel off of here. Now that we have the wheel off, we have a clear view of our rear brake drum. We have to remove this to gain access to our wheel cylinder located just behind it. Sometimes you're going to have to tap on the rear drum. You can use a rubber mallet if necessary. A thorough inspection of that brake drum to confirm it's still usable. Now we've exposed our wheel cylinder. To remove the wheel cylinder, let's have a quick look along the back side of the backing plate. Along the back side of the backing plate, we can see our bleeder screw and our brake line leading to the back side of the wheel cylinder. Now, once we do start opening things up, fluid will want to make its way out, so we want to restrict that in some way. I'm going to use some hose pliers directly on my flex hose. We don't want to cause any damage. Just a light squeeze should do. The next thing we're going to do is attempt to remove our bleeder screw. Keep in mind there is fluid inside of the brake system, so of course we have hand and eye protection and a collection receptacle under this area. I'm going to be using a 10mm for my bleeder screw. It's common for these to be rusted, rotted, and break. That's okay, because I'm replacing the wheel cylinder anyways. Yeah. As I mentioned, that's extremely common. Let's continue on to our brake line fitting next. Without having the bleeder screw there, we have ample room to be able to use a wrench as needed. We're using a 10mm for our brake line fitting. I'm going to use a flare end wrench here. When turning this counterclockwise, we want to be careful not to cause damage to our brake line. Just trying to work out any miscellaneous debris or rust from this. We can use a wire brush to help clean the threads as we continue on here. I have it broken free so I can switch to an open end 10mm wrench. This turns fairly easily at this point. Now that we have that out of place, just a quick inspection of that brake line fitting and the brake line itself. If it looks like you twisted the brake line to a point that it's damaged in any way, you need to go ahead and replace it. This looks as though it's in good condition, so let's continue on to our mounting hardware next. We're using a 10mm for each piece of hardware here. Now that I have that one out of there, just a quick inspection. I'm going to start it back in a couple threads here. Let's move along to the next one. Now that both of them are out of place, let's make our way to the forward side or the outboard side of the wheel cylinder. To remove the wheel cylinder, you're going to find that it is lodged in between your 2 brake shoes. The first thing I like to do is break it free from the backing plate. I'm just going to tap on this area with a hammer. Continuing on, you can take hold of either one of your brake shoes. We're going to carefully start pulling it in one direction or the other and carefully start sliding out the wheel cylinder. There it is, friend. Prior to installation of any brand new part, of course, we need to make sure we clean and inspect our mounting area. When I'm cleaning this, I like to carefully hold on to the end of my brake line, preventing anything from making its way into my braking system. You can see me reaching through this area. We'll use a wire brush as necessary, clean this up as well as possible. Just double check that brake line fitting. That looks good. Okay, let's prepare that brand new wheel cylinder for installation. Just like with the removal process, I like to do this with the bleeder screw removed. Just go ahead and turn that counterclockwise. We can go ahead and set that aside. Continuing on, we're going to take the base of the wheel cylinder and we'll slide it through our backing plate. We need to align our brake line fitting and brake line with the corresponding mounting point here. Start it in by hand. Also, as we bring this into position, along each side of the wheel cylinder, you have the area where your brake shoes need to go into. You can see the slotted area. Now, if for some reason these aren't facing up and down, you can carefully turn them in one direction or the other. Use a flat blade screwdriver if necessary. Let's start getting this in place. I'm bringing it over towards one of my shoes. I'm compressing the wheel cylinder towards each other here, towards the center. Gently stretch the shoes. Slide it into place, ensure it's seated properly all the way around here. It should sit right up against that backing plate properly. There we are. Now that I have it pressed in, I'm continuing on with my brake line along the back. I like to do this before I start installing my mounting bolts so I can still move the wheel cylinder around. Once you do have the brake line started in, do not tighten it yet. We'll continue on with our two mounting bolts. Go ahead and start them in, and then you can snug those. For my bolts, I always clean the threads. Move the wheel cylinder around as necessary. We'll keep it loose while we continue on to the next one. Okay, right there is bottomed out. Let's just take it a tiny bit further here. We do not want to cause any damage to our bolts or to the wheel cylinder, but you do want to make sure it's tight. Bottomed out. Just a tiny bit further there. Make sure you tighten the line next. Okay, right there is bottomed out. Once again, we'll just take it a tiny bit further here. We just want to make sure it's secure. Continue on with your bleeder screw. As for your bleeder screw, go ahead and remove the bleeder screw cover. We'll set that aside. We will be using it. We'll start this in by hand. Now, as far as this wheel cylinder bleeder screw, go ahead and leave it loose. Now we can remove our brake hose pliers here. We're going to be waiting to see a steady trickle of fluid. Okay, I definitely have fluid making its way out of here now, so I'm just going to close this. We don't need to close it tight, we still have to bleed the brake. Now, when you go to install the brake drum, we want to make sure that we install it and we have the proper amount of drag from our brake shoes on the braking surface of the drum itself. If you find that you don't have any drag, it needs to be adjusted outward a little bit. That can be done by your adjustment cog down in this area. You can also adjust it inward to help reduce drag. Now, with that said, let's take this drum and we're going to slide it into place. Now, while I'm pressing this up against my hub, I can tell that I do have some drag. That's exactly what I'm looking for there. I want to make sure that it can spin. It doesn't just spin a little bit and stop. That would be too much drag. That's going to create friction. Friction makes heat, and this can seize up on you. We have the drum in place. Let's continue on to bleeding our brakes. One last quick inspection, and we can reinstall our wheel. Now that I have the wheel in place, I'm going to start on all 5 of my 21mm lug nuts. We'll bottom them out, get the wheel safely back down on the ground, and I'm going to torque each of these lug nuts to 76 foot-pounds. Now I've got the wheel back down on the ground, I'm going to be torquing each one of my lug nuts to that 76 foot-pounds in a crisscross manner. Torqued. Locate your master cylinder along the driver's side of your engine compartment. We're going to clean along the top of the master cylinder close to where our cap is. Make sure there's no miscellaneous debris here. Take hold of that cap, we're going to lift it up and away. Just a quick inspection, make sure there's no damage. Continuing on, we need to remove fluid from inside of the master cylinder reservoir. Now when I do this, I only like to remove the fluid from inside the plastic portion of the master cylinder. There is a small drain plug at the bottom of the master cylinder, which is where we're going to start the draining process. I'm using a 10 millimeter for my drain plug along the bottom here. We have our collection receptacle and of course hand and eye protection. Now during this draining process, we need to remove as much fluid as we can from the plastic portion of the reservoir. But we need to make sure that we do not get any air in the other portion of the master cylinder. So I'm just going to install my drain plug now before I get to the point that I've gone too far. Otherwise, you're going to have to bench bleed your master cylinder. We'll make sure our drain plug's nice and tight. Just a light squeeze on that drain plug gasket. Okay, right there's bottomed out. Just taking it a tiny bit further here. We do not want to cause any damage. Let's go ahead and clean up our mess in this area. We're going to top off our master cylinder. A quick note about doing this job, if you get brake fluid on any painted surface, it is corrosive. You want to make sure you rinse it off with some clean water. We have our clean .3 brake fluid. Let's top this off. All right, so we're at our maximum line now. Let's go ahead and install our master cylinder cover here. Now that we have the master cylinder topped off, we're going to start bleeding our brakes. We have to remove each and every one of our wheels. We're going to start at the passenger side rear wheel. Once you've bled that wheel, you're going to go to the driver's side front. After you've completed that, stop up at the master cylinder and make sure you top it off up to the maximum line again. After you've completed that, you're going to the driver's side rear, and then you're ending at the passenger side front. Once you've completed bleeding all of the brakes, you need to make sure you top off that master cylinder the last time. We're at the passenger side rear. We're going to start our bleeding process. If you have a bleeder screw cover, just go ahead and remove that now. We're going to be using a 10 millimeter for our bleeder screw. Now I have a second person inside of the vehicle, and they're going to help me bleed the brakes. The person inside of the vehicle is going to pump up the brake pedal approximately 3 to 5 times and hold it. While they're holding it, I'm going to open up my bleeder screw. We're watching to see a steady trickle of clean fluid making its way out with no air. I got my tool on here. Got my hose. Go ahead and pump, please. Go ahead and pump. Go ahead and pump. Now, as you can tell, we did this several times, and I had only clean fluid making its way out, definitely no air bubbles. I'm sure that I've removed all the air from in my braking system on this side of the vehicle. Now, as I mentioned before, we need to go to the driver's side front. We're going to repeat the bleeding process. After that, we have to make our way to that master cylinder. Let's go ahead and clean up our mess in this area real quick, reinstall our bleeder screw cover. We want to make sure this is clean so we can double check for brake fluid leaks when we're done this process. Now we're at the driver's side front. I've got my 8 millimeter for my bleeder screw. Let's go ahead and repeat the process here. Go ahead and pump, please. Go ahead and pump. Go ahead and pump. Perfect. You can release, thank you. Now, as you saw, clean brake fluid making its way out. Definitely no air bubbles. We'll clean our mess. We're making our way to that master cylinder to top it off. This bleeder screw did not have a bleeder screw cover, so I won't be installing one here. We'll open our master cylinder cap here, top it off with our clean .3 brake fluid. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the video, the sequence continuing on from here will next be we're moving to the driver's side rear. After you've bled that wheel cylinder along the backside, you're going to the passenger's side front. Go ahead and bleed that caliper as well. After that, you need to make sure you top off the master cylinder one more time. I'm going to do that next, and we'll continue with that master cylinder. I finished bleeding those brakes, so now I'm back at the master cylinder. As you can tell, my fluid is a little low here. You know what to do. Clean .3 brake fluid. Let's top it off. We have our maximum line. The level looks perfect here. Reinstall the cap. Make sure it's properly secured so no moisture or debris make its way inside your braking system. We're just going to clean any mess from this area. Okay, friend, we finished bleeding our brakes and we fully topped off the master cylinder. Just double check to make sure you've cleaned any mess. You're going to torque each one of the wheel lug nuts to 76 foot-pounds. After that, just pump up the brake pedal. You want to confirm it's still firm and take your vehicle for a road test. Thanks for watching. Okay, friend, we finished our installation and bled the brakes. Make your way to the passenger compartment, pump up the brake pedal, confirm it still feels firm as it should. After that, you can go ahead and take your vehicle for a road test. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.